Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gents. This is Defub21, and today we have a trailer for a video game. This is the gameplay trailer for Armored Core VI. I think it's Armored Core 6, if I remember my Roman numerals, which I don't. Fires of Rubicon. This is the gameplay trailer. So without further ado, let's take a look, and then I shall give you my immediate opinion.
We're close to Rubicon. Wake the dog up.
Handler Walter verified. Activating cerebral coral control device. Augmented human C4621 has awakened.
One of the infamous Handler Walter's hounds. Interesting. You ready to climb the wall?
Call sign Raven. Priority subject for termination. High on the list.
A coral response from the generator. Watch out!
Why hide behind another's call sign?
Let's see how far they can fly. On borrowed wings.
Well, that was 3 minutes and 6 seconds long. So we do get a little bit of story in the trailer. There's apparently a handler called Walter. What I assume to be the protagonist's armored core, and the protagonists themselves, an armored core pilot, is dropped in onto this planet from space. I assume Rubicon is referring to the name of the planet, but I could be wrong there. In terms of the gameplay, again, as a disclaimer, I've heard of Armored Core before this, but I've never played any of the games. I mean, I didn't have a PlayStation 1. I did have a PS2 late in the generation, but I didn't go near the Armored Core games. Maybe I should have. In terms of graphics, it looks like a third-person action shooting game, but where you control a mech, which is, again, I don't think there have been that many of them, either last gen or the gen before, but don't quote me on this. These games play quite differently from kind of the Mech Warrior series. from my familiarity with this. It's more kind of, it looks, well, it's certainly faster, more kind of arcadey seeming compared to the MechWarrior games, or at least my experience of the MechWarrior games. Anyway, there's in terms of the visuals, obviously it looks like as you would expect a cross-gen game to look like, because it's going to be running on PS4 and Xbox One and Xbox One X, PS4 Pro, as well as the current gen systems. So there are inherent technological limitations there that if it were current gen it wouldn't have to deal with. I'm not sure if this is coming to PC. I'm looking at the trailer again here on silent, so I'll see if it mentions them, but it does mention all the last gen consoles, I think, with a possible exception of the Switch. But it does, I'm not familiar with the series. I don't have any kind of emotional vested interest in it. There's no nostalgia here for me on this. And the music, when it kicks in, which is also in the previous trailer, sounds good to me. It looks, as I said, it looks good-ish for a cross-gen title. Yeah, it's coming to PC. It's coming out on Steam. But it's for a gameplay trailer. There's, obviously you're watching, the gameplay from a third person perspective of someone kind of controlling a armored core and fighting other robots / machine / armored cores with it. But it doesn't, if you're not familiar with the franchise at all, when I am barely familiar with the name pretty much, and the fact that it's robots that you control, or mechs that you can control / pilot. I don't really know much about anything else apart from that. I think the robots are quite highly customizable, but that's about that you pilot, but that's about it. So while you do get to see action and in-game combat and action and so on, it doesn't explain the gameplay mechanics to you at all. Doesn't explain any of the finer details to you at all. Just show you some stuff of the world that you'll be moving your character around in. But outside of that, and some very basic story points, that's about pretty much it. So it's, when is the game due out? So let me just check here. Yeah, it's out on August the 25th. So they've still got a good few months left to release more trailers, explain more of the story and so on, and go maybe a bit more of a deep dive on the gameplay mechanics. It'll certainly help the fact that I think there's certain people out there who are very, very fond of the Armored Core series, but it's been a while since there's been a new Armored Core game. So that might bring a lot of attention from them. That a lot of people might turn out during the first couple of months it's on the market and buy it for that reason. And it's then, of course, stating the obvious, it's from Software. So the From Software's reputation they've built up with the Dark Souls games, with Bloodborne, with is it Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, which I think Activision published, correct me if I'm wrong, which I believe is another From Software game, and obviously Elden Ring, which is a huge hit, says to me that that reputation that they've now built up might help them quite a bit. Although it should also be noted that if this game turns out to be if it turns out to be a case of someone they tried to make a game to appeal to a new audience, it doesn't appeal to the new audience and they annoy the old audience, or if the game comes out in a poor state, it's badly optimized and so on across platforms, that could it'd be a kind of an almost like a Cyberpunk 2077 situation vis-a-vis CD Projekt Red, in that they'd built up a lot of goodwill and reputation because The Witcher 3 was so good, and then they kind of not destroyed all of it, but they very badly damaged it with Cyberpunk and the fact that it came out the way in the condition that it came out in. So yeah, hopefully again they won't damage their reputation with this. I'll pay attention to it. I'll keep an eye on it. This would not be a launch day purchase for me. I might pick it up when it's cheap, or if it turns up on Game Pass I'd certainly play it. But again, I have no nostalgia / emotional attachment to this intellectual property, and again, it looks like a third person action shooter to me, which isn't necessarily arcade action shooter, which doesn't necessarily endear itself to me. But we'll have to see how it pans out. But again, I know almost nothing about the specifics of the actual kind of fine-grained gameplay from this trailer, because it doesn't explain anything at all. But if you're looking for kind of an in-game action sequence, one combat sequence after another, that we assume is representative of the final game will play like, yeah, it's not too bad at all. Anyway, this is Defub21. Let me know what you think in the comments about this game, and any suggestions as to how I could do things differently, please let me know in the comments. Please like the video. Please subscribe if for some reason you haven't already subscribed, and ring the bell to get instant notifications when new content is uploaded. So for the moment, this is Defub21 signing off. Toodaloo.